Paula, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? First one, as always. Just trying to put the live show on the pin section. Jason, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Okay. Manny, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. Hi, Miles. Autistic, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hey, Miles, how you doing, man? I'm doing great things. Good to see you. How you doing, brother? How you been? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Free and Feather, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles of CMF. Aaron, good to see you. How you doing? T, hello, Miles. Good to see you. How you doing, T? Mike, good day, Miles. Good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Evening, mate. Pure, good to see you. How you doing? Hello, Miles of CMF family. How you doing? Doing great, Carlos. How you doing, brother? How you been? Okay, let's do intro, disclaimer, and what we're going to go from tonight's live, because a few things have happened which everybody should be fully aware of. Evening, Miles of CMF. Peg, good to see you. How you doing? Perfect timing. Welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. You can tune to this live Monday, Friday, 10 p.m. London time onwards for the most recent news regarding cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, pretty much all the vital information you should know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. The disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. And also we do Q&As in this live as well, which means if you ever have any questions, put it down in the comment section. More than happy to help you out. Now, this is episode essentially 403 of the CMF Live. Now, on tonight's live, we're going to be talking about why is the market slightly down today, what's happening with the AI market space, because it's in fact essentially impacting essentially Bitcoin's footsteps, which is impacting the rest of the crypto market space. We're going to go through some essentially bullish announcements as well from the banking sector regarding cryptocurrencies. And also we're going to go through some Ripple news towards the end of the live as well, some other news in between. Before we go through the first news, which is relatable to the AI situation that's happening right now, let's go to the comment section first, and I'm going to go straight into the first news. Miles, how are you doing? I'm doing great, Peg. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Peg? Good evening, Miles, the CMF, Bullock, Soppy. Good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles. How you doing? I'm doing great, Callie. Good to see you as well. Hi, Miles, the CMF. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing, Stormy? How you been? How are you doing, Miles, the CMF? Lena, I'm doing great. How you been, Lena? Now, there's a situation happening right now in the AI space. Give them bread and circus, and they will never revolt. Okay, that quote. Okay, so there's a situation happening inside the AI tech space right now, and it all started with Michael Burry putting a bet down that there's going to be an AI burst, like the bubble is going to be bursting very soon. Now, Michael Burry put this bet down about a few days ago on the AI market space. And today we got some shocking announcements from SoftBank that they're going to be withdrawing essentially their $5.8 billion investment out of NVIDIA, essentially, which caused Bitcoin to follow tech stocks and go slightly dipping downwards. So here it is. In a stunning development that sent shockwaves through the financial markets, SoftBank has liquidated its entire position of $5.8 billion in NVIDIA positions, marking one of the most significant portfolio shifts in recent memory. This bold move essentially by the son of essentially represents a massive bet on artificial intelligence and has immediate implications for cryptocurrency and technology investors worldwide. Now, Michael Burry is the same man that said, 2008 crash was coming and nobody else saw it except him. Not just except him, but a few other people saw it coming as well. Now, he's the same man now putting a bet down that there's going to be a bubble burst for AI. And the timing of this SoftBank NVIDIA sale couldn't be more strategic. At approximately $181.50, essentially 58 cents per share, the company exited just 14% below its Nvidia all-time essentially high price. This precision timing demonstrates SoftBank's sophisticated market positioning and raises essentially crucial questions about where the smart money is flowing into now in the evolving technology landscape. Now, SoftBank has built essentially their reputation on billion-dollar gambles that that either create legendary returns or spectacular losses as well. Understanding essentially their track record provides a context for the latest move they've done so far in the AI space. Alibaba, essentially, for example, Alibaba's miracle, $20 billion investment for SoftBank grew essentially to $150 billion by 2020. Dot-com disaster, everybody remembers that. The personal loss of $70 billion during the 2000 tech crash SoftBank had. WeWork, catastrophic essentially investment, $11.5 billion in equity, a loss of $2.2 billion essentially in debt. Vision fund challenges, essentially mixed results from a $100 billion investment fund. SoftBank isn't simply cashing out. They're redeploying capital towards ambitious AI projects is what they're trying to say they're doing right now. But the reality of it is they've withdrawn their entire portfolio essentially from Nvidia. And it's a ridiculous amount, roughly about $5.8 billion they've withdrawn completely. Following the disclosure, essentially, Nvidia shares dropped nearly 3% because of this announcement, demonstrating the market's moving power of SoftBank's decision. For cryptocurrency investors, this signals several important trends. Institutional capital continues shifting from essentially traditional tech to AI infrastructure. Major players are making concentrated bets rather than diversified portfolios. The line between AI and cryptocurrency investments continues to blur. Volatility in tech stocks may increase as large positions get repositioned. Now, if SoftBank has done this, it could cause a ripple effect where other essentially massive firms decide to take their investments away from tech stocks. This isn't SoftBank's first complete exit from essentially Nvidia, for example. In 2019, the company sold a $4 billion stake for $3.6 billion. That share, if they held it up to now, would have been about $150 billion. This historical context makes the current sale particularly intriguing and suggests that SoftBank has learned from past timing errors. In other words, SoftBank thinks that we're actually going to be heading towards an AI bubble burst. Now, the founder, essentially, and CEO of SoftBank Group, known for his high-risk investment strategies and visionary approaches to technology investing, essentially, Nvidia remains the dominant player in AI chip manufacturing, for example. He said, though competition from AMD and custom silicon, essentially, solutions is increasing, large institutional essentially moves between traditional tech and AI investments often signal broader capital flows that can impact cryptocurrency valuations and investor sentiments. In other words, Bitcoin does tend to sometimes follow tech stocks, which means today tech stocks went down, Bitcoin went down. Everybody else followed because we don't have a Clarity Act. Primary targets include essentially where they could be repositioning their investments into open AI partnerships and a massive AI essentially manufacturing hub in Arizona, representing SoftBank's essentially conviction in the AI revolution. SoftBank's complete exit from Nvidia represents more than just a portfolio essentially exit. It's a statement about the future of technology investing. And is betting essentially that real value creation is coming in a decade will happen in pure AI plays rather than the hardware enabling it. For cryptocurrencies and technology essentially investors, this move essentially offers more valuable insights into how sophisticated capital allocators are positioning into AI-dominated essentially futures. So, are we about to be witnessing a massive AI bubble burst? According to Michael Burry, yes. The same man that predicted the 2008 crash is now predicting that we could be heading towards a massive bubble AI burst. Now, he did put his prediction down a few days ago, and today we get the announcement that SoftBank is completely withdrawing their investments out of Nvidia. And that's essentially wading into the crypto market space. But again, it's only because we don't essentially have the Clarity Act. Every cryptocurrency essentially is stuck following Bitcoin's treacherous footsteps due to not having a Clarity Act, which means we can't go into utility, which means we're stuck following Bitcoin's treacherous footsteps. Now, moving on from that to a crucial CFTC chairman nominee. But actually, before we move on to that, I just want to mention one other thing. Jim Cramer said that we are not heading towards a recession. Just want to point that one out. We are not heading towards a recession. The man is known as Opposite Jim. Just want to put that one out there. Now, crucial CFTC essentially chairman nominee hearing set as government shutdown ends. The cryptocurrency world essentially holds its breath as Washington prepares for a pivotal moment in regulatory oversight. So we still don't have a CFTC chairman, but we're about to get one very soon. With the government shutdown expected essentially as completely lifted, the Senate Agriculture Committee has scheduled essentially a confirmation hearing for CFTC chairman nominee Mike next essentially Wednesday. Now, this essentially hearing represents a critical juncture for digital asset regulations inside the United States. Mike brings unique essentially credentials to the table as a potential CFTC chair nominee. His background as a former senior legal advisor to the SEC Crypto Task Force gives him essentially deep understanding of digital asset regulations, which is great, which means he's pro-crypto. This expertise positions him essentially perfectly to navigate the complex landscape of cryptocurrency oversights. The timing couldn't be more significant as the crypto market continues to evolve and regulatory clarity becomes increasingly important. Mike confirmation could signal a new era of clearer regulatory frameworks for digital assets, enhanced consumer protection measures, improved market stability through consistent oversight, better institutional adoption pathways. The Senate Agriculture Committee will scrutinize essentially Mike's qualifications and vision for the CFTC, obviously, before they give him the green light. Given his background with the SEC's Crypto Task Force, committee members will likely focus on his approach to digital asset regulations. Key areas of inquiry will essentially probably include how he plans to balance innovation with investor protection at the same time, his views on jurisdictional essentially boundaries between the CFTC and the SEC, and his strategy for handling emerging crypto derivative products. And the hearing also represents a crucial step towards establishing consistent regulatory standards. Market participants also closely watch regulatory developments as essentially, and this CFTC chairman nominee confirmation could have significant implications. A smoother confirmation process might boost market confidence, with any essentially continuous issues could create uncertainty for Mike's extensive experience essentially with the cryptocurrency regulations, and suggests he understands the need for balanced oversight that doesn't stifle innovation. The crypto industry needs regulatory certainty to thrive. 100% absolute facts. We need a Clarity Act, otherwise we cannot move forward in any sort of a way. With Mike's background, essentially, many hope he can provide the leadership necessary to clear essentially guidelines. This could ultimately benefit everyone from retail investors to larger institutions entering the crypto space, because a Clarity Act equals to utility, which was the core purpose of cryptocurrencies. The purpose of cryptocurrencies were never quick profits or buys and sells to all represent essentially stocks. The main purpose of cryptocurrencies was utility, what they actually bring towards the table for a digital future. It could either be essentially in terms of payments, or it could be in terms of Web3, in terms of essentially a gaming essentially feature, or essentially anything to do of essentially, going into this digital world. That was the main purpose of cryptocurrencies, utility. We get a Clarity Act. It's smooth sailings from there. The confirmation of this particular CFTC chairman nominee could mark a turning point in how the United States approaches cryptocurrency regulations. With his unique background and expertise, Mike appears well positioned to guide essentially the CFTC. Also, to guide the CFTC through the complex world of digital asset oversight. So, Mike actually might be the best person to lead the CFTC, especially now that we're getting a Clarity Act, which means that the CFTC will have more control of the crypto market space, and that cryptocurrencies will be seen as commodities because it's under the CFTC now. Now, moving on from the CFTC nominee, which could work out very positively for us, to JP Morgan and DBS Bank. But before we talk about JP Morgan, DBS Bank, let's go start the conversation first. Let's see what's happening there, and then we'll go straight into the next news. Good evening, all. JP, let's go. How you doing, bro? How you been? When do you see alt season happening? It should have happened a while ago, but we had a government shutdown situation with Democrats, Republicans going head to head. Quarter 4 is going to be the Kickstarter going into quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, 2026. I would have to say, look, 2026. They're estimating that we could be heading towards, there's a perspective on the table that we could be heading towards some sort of a market recession. Market needs liquidity. The Fed can print, but that will cause a lot more issues down the line. Tariffs could solve this issue, but tariffs will take a few years essentially to kick in. Now, this was the first year of tariffs. We need about 2 to 3 more, maybe 2 more years of tariff situations to fix the US economy. In all reality, we need liquidity. The world needs liquidity right now, and it's struggling day by day going into 2026. So this particular recession that we could be heading into 2026 into could actually be resolved with cryptocurrencies. For the first time ever, we might actually have a solution before the recession even happens, which could be cryptocurrencies. That could be the one that provides liquidity towards the table. So think of it as crypto saves the day in 2026. Now, so I would have to say Q4, Q1, Q2, going into 2026. Starting Q4, going into 2026, and we're in Q4 right now as well. Miles a bit later on, but I don't want to miss it. Adi, no problem. How you doing? Bless Miles, thanks for asking. Let's go Peg. The Wi-Fi not the greatest on the result, no problem, Mike. I've had those issues as well. Being in result, sometimes the Wi-Fi, because everybody's using the results, not the best sometimes. Hi, Miles. Johnny, good to see you. How you doing? Morning, Miles of CMF. Shelly, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Shelly? Hi, Miles. Hello, Miles and family. Comatose, good to see you. How you doing? Is it possible to buy ALX 2049 tokens in the pre-sale? If you want to, it's up to you. I mean, I'll be honest. I've never heard of that token in my entire lifetime. Does that mean a big crash for crypto markets? No, I wouldn't say a big crash for crypto markets. Greetings, Miles and CMF. Ray, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Friends who already... Okay, I can see where this is going now. There is a moron inside the comment section promoting a moronic crypto project. I've blocked both of these idiots. Clearly, someone is getting paid for this pre-sale token. Yes, 100%. Shelly's facts. Yep, right. Now, JP Morgan and DBS to launch 24/7 cross-bank token payments. Now, I don't know if anybody has seen, but JP Morgan and Ripple ads are pretty much everywhere right now in the UK. I keep on seeing JP Morgan payments and Ripple. It's happening now, the crypto world ads. Pretty much all the time now on a daily basis. I'm seeing it pop up on YouTube, pop up everywhere pretty much. And well, JP Morgan DBS decided to launch this 24/7 essentially payment cross-border token payments essentially platform. DBS is also a partner of Ripple. JP Morgan and DBS are working together to create a new system for digital banking that allows tokenized deposits to work across both of their blockchain networks. This development will allow clients to send money faster and around the clock. The system links JP Morgan's Kinix digital payments platform with DBS's token services. It will allow institutional clients to move tokenized deposits between the two banks easily. Payments can happen on both public and private blockchains, and DBS said it would give clients round-the-clock availability, so money can move at any time. With this system, clients can exchange or redeem tokenized deposits instantly. They can also make cross-border payments in real time. The bank hopes that this will make a new standard for payments between banks. Instant 24/7 payments provide businesses with the optionality or essentially agility and speed to navigate global uncertainties and capture emerging opportunities. Rachel essentially Chow, the group COO and essentially at DBS Bank, said in a press release, she added that making different systems work together is important to avoid problems when moving tokenized money across borders. JP Morgan also stated testing its Kinix Fund Flow platform in late October 2025. The full platform will launch in 2026. The bank also plans to turn over essentially other assets like essentially private loans and real estate into tokens in 2026. Both banks previously supported Patir, a blockchain payment platform that raised $60 million in 2024. Currently, both banks essentially offer instant payments within their own systems. This new collaboration will let clients pay each other across borders. Working with DBS on this initiative is a clear example of how financial institutions can essentially collaborate to further the benefits of tokenized deposits for institutional clients while protecting the singleness of money and ensuring the interoperability across markets, said Navin, the global co-head of Kinix. Banks around the world are now interested in tokenized money. About 1/3 of commercial banks have started or studied tokenized deposits. According to a 2024 survey by the Bank of International Settlements, major institutions including UBS Bank, Post Finance, Zion Bank, BNY Mellon, Barclays, HSBC, and Lloyds Bank are also testing similar options. This project could essentially make global payments faster and cheaper. It could also help businesses manage payrolls, trade payments, and treasury essentially operations better. The bank have not essentially disclosed what the full system will be available, but testing will start with a select client list. So, even though we might be heading towards, according to Jim, essentially not a recession, but he's known as opposite Jim, and even though we might be heading towards some sort of an AI bubble burst, the crypto space is still doing quite well for itself. We have a Clarity Act on the way. We have 5 XRP ETFs that are essentially about to be passed essentially this month. We have banks essentially coming together even more regarding the digital payment sector and collaborating together to make payments instant worldwide. So there's a lot of things happening in the positive sense for the crypto space, to be fairly honest. Now, on that note, SoFi debuts crypto trading platform for bank customers. SoFi Technologies Inc. has taken a major step in essentially modern banking with a launch of a SoFi crypto. The new platform makes SoFi the first US bank with a national charter to let customers trade cryptocurrencies alongside regular banking. People can now bank, borrow, invest, and trade essentially trade crypto all in one regulated system inside the United States. This is an important step in bringing digital assets into everyday banking. Starting today, SoFi members can access popular digital assets, essentially, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and more digital assets to be added over time. Also, verified members can buy crypto directly from essentially FDIC-insured SoFi checking or essentially saving accounts. This lets them essentially move between cash and crypto much more easily. The platform essentially is made for both beginners and experienced investors. It offers easy-to-use tools as well as advanced trading features. And in a recent interview also with SoFi's CEO, Anthony, said that the new platform is a big step for banking. It explained that the blockchain essentially technology can make financial transactions faster, cheaper, and safer around the world. By offering crypto services, SoFi joins other major banks like essentially Morgan Stanley, showing that regulated digital asset trading is becoming a much more common thing. SoFi's crypto essentially focuses on helping users learn about crypto. The app also offers educational lessons and tools to explain essentially the risk and opportunities of crypto trading and essentially investing. The company says that 60% of crypto holders prefer trading through a licensed bank instead of an exchange, showing trust on regulated platforms. SoFi's crypto follows strict US banking rules to ensure that proper oversight is met. Noto also stressed that strong security measures and clear procedures help users feel much more safer with essentially when they're trading. The new platform also provides clear risk disclosures, reminding users that crypto assets are not FDIC essential or spec insured and may lose value. Interest in digital assets is growing at a rapid pace right now inside the banking sector. It could possibly be due to a Clarity Act coming out soon. And crypto ownership could double essentially by the end of 2025. SoFi wants to meet this demand by offering platforms that is reliable, clear, and easy to use. Beyond crypto trading, SoFi plans to use blockchain technology in many parts of its services. The company said this will allow essentially offer faster and cheaper international money transfers and launch a USD-backed stablecoin for cross-border payments. SoFi plans to essentially add cryptocurrencies to its lending services and other financial products, and these changes are expected to lower the cost, making lending faster and more essentially to give people more access to the financial service, to the digital financial services. By using blockchain throughout this platform, SoFi wants digital assets to be a part of essentially everything it offers, the core of everything essentially it offers. So as you can see, even though there were some other things going on regarding the AI bubble burst situation or Michael Burry's bet essentially, or opposite Jim saying there's going to be no essential recession, inside the crypto sector, there's actually a lot of positive and bullish things happening inside the crypto sector, with banks and institutions expanding on a daily basis. The ETFs coming out, the ETFs announcements coming, Clarity Act announcements coming. So there's a lot of positive things essentially happening inside the crypto sector as we go along. Now, the next news I want to read out to you is actually going to be quite an interesting one. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's happening there. Do you think the payment sector will be more successful than real world assets and the AI sector this crypto bull run? Yes. Money going digital is a great question, by the way, Rowan. It's a great question. So Rowan's question right now inside the comment section is, do you think the payment sector will be more successful than real world assets and AI sectors this crypto bull run? My answer is yes. Money going digital is the number one crucial factor, and then it's everything else. Essentially, real world assets is a subcategory of essentially of money going digital as well, and AI is obviously its own separate sector. But the world essentially, the world money needs to go digital for AI, for essentially for Web3 to work. Crypto payments, digital payments have to work. Money has to go digital for Web3 to work. Money has to go digital for essentially gaming to work. Money has to go digital, believe it or not, for AI to even work. Because we have, like, for example, we have companies like Coinbase who are designing essentially these AI, these AI systems that will be using crypto wallets to make transactions happen. So money going digital, it's the number one crucial factor, and then everything else essentially will follow. Money has to go digital for Web3 to work. Money has to go digital for gaming to work. Money has to go digital for AI to work, and so on. So money going digital is the number one crucial factor without a doubt. You can't have a Web3 world where we don't have digital payments, and you can't have essentially a fully functional AI world when we don't have digital payments, and you can't have a fully functioning essentially AI gaming world, a digital gaming world essentially, without essentially digital payments. Is not possible. So yes, finance is the number one sector. Real world assets will essentially come next, and AI is essentially ranked in its own category, but real world assets subcategory of money. Now, this one is an interesting one. I've also blocked this dusty person trying to say about pre-sales. Now, crypto wallets are evolving into digital passports. Now, this goes back on something I said a while ago. I said about 2 years ago. I said, if, for example, the idea of Bitcoin, essentially, just to give you a glimpse. So the idea of Bitcoin of, people still don't know who did it. Is it a group, and I'll explain to you why I'm going back there. The idea of Bitcoin of people don't know if it's essentially made by a group, made by the CIA, made by, another government entity, or made by a random person. The timeline, I've always said, is incredibly interesting. We have a massive market crash, essentially 2008, a bubble burst inside the real estate sector. 2009 comes along, Bitcoin pops up, but out of nowhere. And we're supposed to essentially entertain the fact that, that was random. Nothing random happens in this world on that large scale. Now, the interesting, essentially, part about this is that I said 2 years ago that if, for example, the CIA or any other government entity, is behind the idea of Bitcoin, for example, just entertain the idea for a second. Even if you're a Bitcoin maxine, you're watching this for a second, just entertain this for a second. That if it was a government idea, because the timeline, 2008 crash, 2009 Bitcoin pops out of nowhere to solve everything. If it was a government entity from day one, and they introduced it as a government entity. Imagine the government came out and said, we've created something called Bitcoin. It's for digital payments to get everybody used to the idea of cryptocurrencies, the idea of owning a wallet, the idea of essentially making transactions, the idea of getting more involved in this digital world. Then everybody would have said, no, I'm not using it because the government created Bitcoin, the government created a digital world, the government did this, the government did that, and nobody would use digital payments. Nobody would go anywhere near Bitcoin. There'll be a few people, or essentially some institutions and banks maybe going towards it, and then people will slowly start going into it. But the reality of it is, it wouldn't have the hype that it did have from a mysterious creator to a government creator. And I said that if it is their plan all along, it was just to get people used to the idea of a digital world. Bitcoin was created on the basis of to get people used to a digital world. And all of it boosted during COVID, where, we had a rapid, essentially, amount of people entering the crypto space during COVID. More people essentially during the COVID period into cryptocurrencies and getting used to essentially digital payments, wallets, cryptocurrencies, and this whole infrastructure that essentially has been built. And I said it was kind of a deploy. It's one of the outcomes. You cannot assume that it's just a random, mysterious creator. Sure, consider that as one outcome. but also consider the other outcome, that it might have not been a mysterious creator, and that might have been, it's just a plan or a deploy to get everyone into it. Because what's come out today, essentially from Cointelegraph, is that they're suggesting now that what if this whole digital world was just about to get everybody into it without them knowing it, without them essentially realizing it? So now they're coming out and saying crypto wallets are evolving into digital passports, because it's a lot more easy to get people into it like this. Because you stumbling upon, essentially Bitcoin day one or cryptocurrency day one is better than the government telling you to go towards digital payments. Because everybody will say, no, I'm out. But if you stumble upon this mysterious world of cryptocurrencies by yourself, you're more eager to be into it. So, crypto wallets are no longer just tools for storing digital tokens. In a rapidly evolving world of Web3, a crypto wallet is becoming your digital passport, a key that unlocks access to decentralized apps, financial services, identity verification, and more. This transformation marks a significant shift in how we interact with blockchain technology and digital services. From verifying who you are to granting access to exclusive NFT communities or DeFi protocols, your wallet is now central to your Web3 identity. Traditionally, crypto wallets were used to send, receive, and store assets like Bitcoin. Day one, wallets were designed to receive and send Bitcoin. That's pretty much it. Today, they are identity layers for the decentralized internet. When you connect your wallet to a DApp, essentially, it becomes a secure way to prove ownership, verify credentials, and interact with smart contracts without the need for usernames, passwords, or third parties. Wallets like MetaMask, Phantom, and Rainbow essentially are already integrating features that support on-chain credentials, social profiles, and multi-chain access, offering users a seamless experience across the entire Web3 ecosystem. Your crypto wallet is also a financial gateway. It lets you access DeFi platforms, stake assets, lend or borrow funds, and even participate in governance by voting on DAOs. At the same time, you also retain full control over your keys and your data, unlike traditional platforms that own and manage user information. As Web3 expands, wallets are being designed to manage not just your funds, but also your data sovereignty, privacy, and digital identity. With innovations like passkeys and ZK proofs and soul-bound tokens, wallets are becoming smarter and more personal than ever before. The crypto wallet is no longer just a tool. It's your entry point to the future of the internet. So, wallets went from send and receive crypto payments to now your digital identity. Well, it was an easier way than the government telling people to get crypto wallets. People stumble upon it, they like the idea more, they're not being forced into it. Just to put into perspective for you, the World Bank has a PDF document titled eCash 1 and eCash 2 in 1998 when they were talking about digital payments. Bitcoin wasn't accidental or a mysterious creator. When we have a PDF document from 1998 suggesting eCash 1, eCash Money 1, and eCash Money 2 about a digital payment world. But does this mean that you should stay away from a digital world, stay away from crypto world? No, it doesn't mean that in any sort of a way. It just means that if you want to be first for once in your life and don't have to stand at the back of the queue, join the crypto space now before it's too late, honestly. The old saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. And that's exactly what you're doing if you're inside a crypto space. But we're only doing it because we don't have any other choices. But also crypto will save your life somewhere down the road when we go into a very restricted digital world. Now, when it's all about digital ID, social credit systems, and everything else that comes with about 15-minute cities and so on. Now, Coinbase is what we're going to talk about next on tonight's live. Before we talk about Coinbase, let's go inside the comment section. But it is interesting that Cointelegraph decided to come out with this article, finally revealing the truth to people that your wallet went from sending and receiving payments day one to now becoming slowly your digital identity online, essentially. Sooner or later, you'll be verifying payments essentially through your wallet, your digital passport, in other words, for an online world. Hello, Miles and CMF members. I hope you had a good day, Scott. Good to see you, brother. How you doing? Come on, happy Veterans Day. Let's go. Happy Veterans Day, Scott. I want to take a moment and wish all who served in the military forces a happy Veterans Day. We did what few volunteered to do. I love my commanders. Let's go, essentially, Scott. And happy Veterans Day to everyone who is a veteran out there as well. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Now, Coinbase. Coinbase cancels a major mega deal, which had a strain inside the crypto space. Cryptocurrency investors found themselves on the edge as headlines broke regarding today's news on Coinbase's cancellation of the massive $2 billion deal it was supposed to do. This move coincided with essentially Bitcoin plummeting below $103,000, adding to the uncertainty looming over the market space with the whole AI bubble burst situation. The delay in government proceedings and the Supreme Court's apparent indecision have added pressure to volatile markets. The focus is now on why the essentially BVNK deal fell through. Initially, the acquisition was set to mark one of the biggest sales inside the crypto industry. Speculation about Coinbase's interest in UK-based firm BVNK essentially had reached its peak. However, the American crypto giant has now backed out of the deal, increasing market concerns. In October, BVNK has secured an agreement ensuring it would not entertain offers from other parties, making the acquisition highly probable. Stablecoin transactions involving the Genius essentially Act in the USA had become legally robust, and Coinbase was expected to leverage BVNK's global stablecoin services. This kind of acquisition effort, given the license at hand, is not unusual inside the crypto market space. A Coinbase spokesperson noted that the firm's consistent pursuit of new opportunities had stated that essentially after evaluations, both parties opted to terminate the process. With giants like Ripple and Coinbase making billion-dollar acquisitions, their actions have essentially resonated throughout this year. Ripple independently acquired 3 companies for $2.4 billion, while Coinbase's $2.9 billion acquisition of Durbit marked a significant milestone. Recently, discussions emerged about Coinbase and MasterCard potentially acquiring Zero Hash for between $1.5 and $2 billion. Considering Zero Hash's status as a stablecoin entity, this might indicate a shift in focus for potential acquisitions. That doesn't seem to be a hesitation based on any looming uncertainties surrounding the crypto markets essentially future. This move doesn't reflect essentially a backing essentially away due to insecurity, but rather strict pivot in acquisition targets. People saw essentially Coinbase backing out of a essentially $2 billion deal as a negative thing inside the crypto space. Oh no, Coinbase is not essentially, confident inside the crypto space. For the people that actually thought Coinbase backed out of a $2 billion deal because they're not confident inside the crypto space, they're a crypto trading platform. So the idea for even people to think, even for a second, that, oh no, Coinbase is not comfortable or not confident inside, regarding this inside the crypto space of a crypto company. Coinbase is a crypto trading platform. But the crypto markets dipped either way a little bit, essentially, on this news as well. And it's all to do with the whales essentially control the majority of the market space, to be fairly honest. Now, on the topic of Coinbase, Coinbase UK is launching something quite interesting, to be fairly honest. And the FSCS-backed savings account. Coinbase is going to be offering savings accounts in the UK, and it's licensed. Coinbase has introduced a regulated savings account for UK users, offering a 3.75% annual interest rate backed by the FSC essential protection and Clearbank. This launch essentially positions Coinbase with mainstream financial institutions, enhancing its fintech product suite and reflecting increased regulatory compliance. Coinbase UK offers 3.75% interest rate with the FSCS safety. The launch of Coinbase's new savings account for UK users marks a significant step. The CEO announced the product's release. He emphasized building tailored products for UK users, focusing on real pain points. The account is currently available to UK residents, providing enhanced regulatory assurance. Community and industry reactions remain muted. The savings account may position Coinbase alongside traditional, essentially financial players inside the United Kingdom, offering a traditional banking experience. The focus is primarily on retail essentially Great British servers. Rather than the crypto native audience, Coinbase strategy aims to blend cryptocurrencies and traditional finance while offering the product that essentially does not directly influence digital currencies. Its launch underscores evolving integration within the financial systems, hinting at a potential shifts in consumer trust and financial practices. So they're not offering cryptocurrencies in this deal, but they're offering savings accounts to UK residents to essentially pull them in slowly into the crypto space. Unlike previous crypto products, this account is secured through the FSC, essentially, marking it the first of its kind, to be honest. The protection, essentially, and regulatory framework offer a traditional financial structure within a digital, essentially, currency platform. Experts also suggest that this model could foster institutional confidence in fiat-backed crypto services. Insights also highlight Coinbase's trajectory towards becoming a comprehensive financial, essentially, platform, leveraging both cryptocurrencies integration and regulatory compliance. Keith Gross, also the CEO of Coinbase UK, where essentially, this is what he said, we're focused on building products tailored to local UK needs that solve real pain points. So, Coinbase UK is going to be offering services to UK residents, a fiat-backed, essentially, savings account, starting with a fiat-backed savings account, slowly bring people into the crypto space. That's brilliant, I would have to say, for what Coinbase is offering, and a very smart move. Very smart move. Now, moving on from Coinbase to President Trump. President Trump predicts inflation drop despite contradictory data. So obviously, Trump has been saying for the longest time that his tariffs are not really causing inflation, which he's correct. Trump is not really causing essential inflation with tariffs. It's the uncertainty that creates the tariffs that we don't know when it's going to be coming. But tariffs are a good thing. I've said this for a long time. It does actually bring quite a lot of money towards the table, creates a lot more jobs over 2 to 3 years' time, not overnight in any sort of a way. But now, President Trump stated that US inflation will soon reach 1.5%, at odds with essentially official data projecting inflation above 2%, as reported essentially today. Now, the disparity on inflation forecast brings heightened scrutiny through crypto markets, show no abnormal shifts, and official channels and experts also largely dismiss Trump's claims as speculative. In a recent statement by President Trump announced that US inflation is expected to reach 1.5% pretty soon. This claim starkly contrasts with current government essentially reports projecting rates above 2% in 2025. According to a 2023 economic outlook for the United States, analysis and economic forecasts indicate otherwise. I'll be honest, Trump was able to save the United States last year from a recession, because it was heading towards a deep, massive, essentially, recession. And not sorry, this year, essentially, Trump was able to save the United States this year from a recession, because the United States was going towards, at the beginning of the year, it was going towards a massive recession due to what Biden essentially achieved. Well, the people around Biden, because Biden was asleep for the entirety of his presidency, to be fairly honest. But Trump did save America from going into a recession this year. I do believe Trump is the only man that could save America from heading towards a recession next year also. But America still does need essentially liquidity like the rest of the world, and cryptocurrencies can solve that issue. Trump's statements lacks official backing or documentation essentially from primary US financial institutions, is what they're saying. Relative commentary from government bodies and financial experts oppose the likelihood of such a rapid inflation decrease, is what Trump is suggesting. As Janet Yellen, the Secretary of U.S. Treasury, noted, inflation remained above the target of 2% in the third quarter. Immediate market conditions also demonstrate negligible responses to Trump's inflation statements. With typical activities seen in crypto assets such as Ethereum and BTC, government statistics continues to show inflation rates around 3%. Financial analysts also indicate that significant drops in inflation often aligns with major economic policy changes, and currently no such legislative or executive actions are essentially on record that would essentially change the perspective on that matter. This is further supported by the latest announcements from the Treasury Department on new financial initiatives, and historical data does suggest that achieving such low inflations would require drastic economic, essentially, adjustments. Trump's prediction lacks precedent in recent, essentially, market dynamics influenced by the Federal Reserve policies and consumer demand factors. Economic experts also express skepticism about the essential potential implications on currency stability and global market reactions. And external shocks, not presidential declarations, have historically driven rapid inflation drops. Officials' channels also provide no evidence supporting Trump's forecast in any sort of a way. Trump 100% saved the United States. No matter if you hate the guy, love the guy, or whatever, Trump saved the United States this year from a recession, because the United States was heading towards a deep, deep recession this year, and Trump saved the United States' arse, to be fairly honest. And by saving the United States, it saved pretty much the entire world, because if the US crashed one more time, the rest of the world will follow as usual. I do believe that Trump is going to be capable of saving it again in 2026, to be fairly honest, even if we do head towards some sort of AI bubble burst, or even if opposite Jim essentially suggests that we're not going towards a recession, which means it's the opposite, we are. I do believe that Trump, again, can save the United States. But again, I also do believe that the United States, just like anywhere else, needs liquidity, because the Fed can do only two things: increase and lower the tariffs. I'm sorry, the Fed can only do two things: print more money, which could cause a lot more problems down the line, or essentially do rate cuts, which they're, Jerome Powell it's like he's allergic to doing rate cuts, to be fairly honest. And he hates Trump, but he's coming to an end. The great thing about that, to be fairly honest. But I do believe he is the only man that could save us once again in 2026. If Biden was in charge, we would all be. If Kamala Harris was in charge, essentially as the president of the United States, if Kamala Harris was in charge of the United States as the president this year, we would have been absolutely effed, completely effed. Next year would have been even more effed, continuing forward, because she has zero understanding of essentially how the world actually operates or how a business operates. And that's how Trump is, essentially doing it. He's made into like the United States is his business, and he knows how to run the show. And he really does, to be fairly honest. Now, Evernorth is what we're going to talk about next on tonight's slide. But before we talk about that, let's move to the comment section first. Let's see what's happening there. Let's see where we're at. Okay, Ray, let's go. Okay, I read up to Scott. I think I was here. I'm of the opinion that early all-time high messed with both sellers and buyers' heads. Oh, okay. I'm on the opinion that the early all-time high messed with both sellers and buyers' heads. I agree up to a certain extent. There's one main factor that it's just skipping a lot of people's heads, and it is, it's there, but most people aren't thinking about it, which is there is a reason why this entire cycle is very different. It's a reason why I said it a year ago, essentially going to 2025. Grayscale said it at the beginning of the year, essentially Bitwise is saying, and so many other essentially, high-profile CEOs are all coming out and saying this is very different, because every cycle we had inside the crypto space was just based on essentially, Bitcoin's footsteps of essentially the halving, and then essentially Bitcoin going all-time highs, not straight after, but a little bit after time, and then Bitcoin coming down, feeding into Ethereum, then Ethereum going up, then Ethereum coming down, feeding to altcoins in a 4-year cycle. That's done with, and a lot of people still understand that it's done with, and some people don't still understand that it's done with. But you got to realize that, we're shifting completely away from that by adding utility towards the table. The moment utility enters the chat inside the crypto space, it's a game changer, because we're no longer relying on these Bitcoin halvings or 4-year cycles. We're relying on the utility that these crypto projects bring towards the table from all the contracts they signed all over the years. With the 1,800 NDAs Ripple, for example, has, or the licenses it has around the world, or the partnerships, the acquisitions it's made, all the infrastructure they've built, or Solana's infrastructure, or essentially Ethereum's infrastructure, or AVAX's infrastructure, or essentially, and the list just goes on. So everyone has to realize that utility is an absolute game changer. It's the 4-year cycles are goodbye. It's finished. It was finished a while ago, to be fairly honest. And going to utility, it's just about who brings what towards the table. And if we do go towards some uncertainty inside the market space, some crypto projects might not be affected as badly as others. One, essentially, when we're in utility, if XRP essentially is being used as a middleman in terms of payments, essentially around the world, and it's being used 24/7, let's say, as a payment infrastructure, the XRP ledger and XRP is being used, and we have a major tech situation, stock dropping, Bitcoin following in its suit, XRP wouldn't be affected because it's still being used 24/7 as a payment. Same would go for XLM, same would go for essentially XDC or essentially HBAR. The list just goes on. AVAX wouldn't be affected due to the payment system as well. And depending on what crypto project it is, what utility it brings towards the table, what contracts, what licensing it has. So everybody really needs to understand that that's done with. We're going into utility. The Clarity Act is going to open that door up. But you also need to understand something major about the Clarity Act, which is two things will happen with the Clarity Act. One, imagine the Clarity Act drops now. It's either going to be playing out as both of these outcomes are going to be positive for the Clarity Act, but they'll play out differently. So outcome number one would be essentially that the Clarity Act happens and nothing happens afterwards. So the Clarity Act drops, the crypto space is positive, it's up, it's up, it's up, and then it drops and nothing much happens. And then people go into some panic mode situations and go, hang on a minute, I thought the Clarity Act was the best thing for the crypto space. Where's the utility? Where's this? Where's that? And it'll put people in the stage of essentially confusion, a little bit of frustration. And then slowly we see the movement essentially happening. Or the other outcome is going to be the world is just extremely desperate for liquidity. And the moment we get into the Clarity Act, we're just going to be slowly going up on a trend. And then cryptos start detaching themselves and so on. The first outcome, it's the same scenario. It's just the way it's just played out right at the beginning. The first scenario essentially is, essentially going up, Clarity Act announcement, beautiful announcement. Crypto goes up a little bit, comes a little bit back down. People start, go think to themselves, what happened? I thought the Clarity Act was the Kickstarter. That period of essentially frustration to essentially confusion will last about a week or so, essentially 2 weeks, and then we start seeing the movement happening before anyone realizes it. The second outcome is the same scenario, it's just it plays out a little bit differently. Instead, the world is just desperate for liquidity, and we see the market essentially just going up, a little bit down, going up, a little bit down, a little bit go, and then you see the detachment happening. The first scenario detachment also happens as well because we go into utility. But those are the two things that will happen essentially during the Clarity Act. It's never essentially smooth sailing, so you're also going to consider multiple outcomes, but both of those outcomes are leading to a positiveness towards the end, and both of those outcomes have the same goal: detachment, utility, and up, in other words. Simplest way to put it. But that is something that everybody needs to understand about the Clarity Act. I am of the opinion that, I read that, but great quote, essentially opinion. Miles, do you think by January 1st, 2026, there will be a significant move inside the crypto world as it refers to XRP, XDC, and XLM? I do believe so, yes. I would say by the end of the year, we should be seeing some sort of movements. I mean, the biggest hurdles are out of the way, the Clarity and the government shutdown. I don't think the Democrats will be stupid enough to cause another, essentially, government shutdown in January. They do have the option if they want to waste everybody's time again, because the Democratic Party achieved in the 41-day essentially government shutdown. We had 41 days of government shutdown, 41 days, and the Democratic Party achieved nothing, except people lost their jobs, people didn't have money to feed their families, people couldn't put food on their tables due to SNAP essentially in the United States, and just caused absolute havoc for 41 days because they wanted to go up against Trump and realized it's a losing battle. So the retail section felt the pain that Democrats weren't feeling because they're all politicians living in $5 million mansions, essentially. So the Democratic Party can, essentially, if they wanted to, waste everybody's time again in January, because that's when the next voting is for a government shutdown, essentially. I'm just hoping the Democratic Party isn't that stupid or that stubborn to think, again, they could go up against Trump and win. Because every time they do that, they lose. Every single time the Democrats went up against Trump, they lost badly. And every single time, we felt essentially the pain. And I'm not an American. I'm across the pond. And I feel the burn every time the Democrats do one stupid maneuver inside of politics. Facts. That's thanks. Facts. Thank you, Scott, for your years of service. 100%. Shout out to all veterans. We signed the dotted line and saw an oath. God bless. Let's go. Facts. Absolutely. Happy Veterans Day to everyone and to Scott. But I'm 58 and know nothing really. Schizo Crypto, don't worry, you know more than enough. You know more than most people, I'll be very honest. Ray, let's go. Like and repost the live. Facts, absolutely facts. Hi, Miles and Pablo. That's all. Susie, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles and family. Alex, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, when will all the MDAs be revealed? I don't know the deadline on that. They'll already be revealed when it's time, or when Ripple essentially, when the contracts come out, when the announcements come out, to be fairly honest. Any specific news about XLM and XDC? No specific news on those two crypto projects, no. But they're both great projects. Brilliant, good stuff. Let's go, Schizo Crypto. Thank you so much. Miles, will XRP essentially price drop again this year? I've been dollar cost averaging, just wondered. It's a possibility, yes. Consider that fact. Is Evernote similar to investing into XRP ETFs? No. Okay, regarding Evernote, so let's just go through it. So the announcement came with Evernote essentially, to be honest, don't you think that shutdown was also a coordinated move? Yes, I agree 100%. Nothing again happens essentially in this world, by accident, as I like to say. There's always some sort of coincidence scenario going. There's always some sort of coordinated scenario going. Yes, I agree. Another outcome is it did seem like the shutdown, you could say it was coordinated, but because it helped, it worked out in the favor of essentially Trump a lot more than the Democratic Party thought. Trump was able to do a lot more things during this essentially shutdown. They were also able to hash out the Clarity Act. I mean, for once in our lives, the Democrats and Republicans sat at the same table and had discussions about cryptocurrencies, and they came to a conclusion, which is why we had that draft bill essentially. So the government shutdown had its positives, but it also had negatives for American citizens. But it has its positives for the crypto space as well. I agree. Now, Evernote. Evernote news regarding Ripple came out a few days ago, essentially about a week ago. Evernote and Ripple essentially news announcements coming out regarding $1 billion essentially of XRP being raised and so on. And we got announcements from the CEO of Evernote that $1 billion was just the start. So here it is. Evernote plans to expand beyond $1 billion as XRP demand surges. In an interview with Thinking Crypto, the CEO recently said that Evernote's $1 billion goal isn't the finishing line. It's just the beginning. The company plans to raise more funds in the future and expand into global markets where XRP already has a strong following, especially in Japan and South Korea. With backing from Ripple, SBI Holdings, and other major essentially capital firms and partnerships to strengthen XRP's presence in Asia and beyond. Its collaboration with SBI in particular could help open new doors for XRP's use in regions of financial networks. According to essentially Brill, the crypto's long-term success depends on essentially widespread institutional participation. Evernote aims to make it easier for larger investors and companies to access and hold XRP, forming part of what he calls the adult movement in digital assets. This ecosystem won't flourish until there is a broad-based adoption by institutions. He explained, Evernote is one tool to help get there, making it easier to participate in the crypto economy and in the financial future being built on blockchains. Ripple essentially has successfully, and also to add more on top of that, regarding Evernote saying $1 billion of XRP was just a start. We're going to raise a lot more money for XRP, and that's the CEO of Evernote saying that. To add on top of that, Ripple, the announcement that came also a few days ago, regarding about a week ago as well, regarding Ripple raising $500 million essentially, and well, that is completed. Ripple essentially has successfully closed the US $500 million streak funding round, a move that strengthens its position as one of the most influential companies in the global digital asset ecosystem. It was able to raise $500 million. This investment marks a new phase in Ripple's evolution from being primarily a cross-border payments provider to becoming a full-scale, essentially, infrastructure partner for institutional finance, custody, and tokenization. For professionals looking to understand essentially this fast-changing crypto landscape, a crypto certificate also essentially could be a valuable asset as well. The new funding round values Ripple at approximately $40 billion, $40 billion, signaling essentially strong investor confidence in the company's roadmap. With these resources, Ripple plans to expand beyond payments into areas like institutional assets, management, stablecoin, development, and digital asset custody solutions. This capital also positions Ripple to compete directly with major fintechs and blockchain infrastructure firms that are shaping the next generation of financial services. The funding will enable the company to scale global operations, develop enterprise-grade essentially products, and accelerate partnerships with traditional financial institutions. Ripple's focus has always been on bridging traditional finance and crypto infrastructure. This funding validates that strategy and reinforces reputation as a trusted partner for banks and corporations. The company's institutional clients also benefit from Ripple's liquidity network compliance expertise and blockchain-based settlement solutions. In practical terms, this means that more stable infrastructure for remittances, treasury operations, and tokenized assets. So, one, Evernorth is not done in any sort of a way. The $1 billion essentially they raised for XRP, that's just the beginning. According to the CEO of Evernorth, they're going to be raising more, essentially billions of dollars for XRP. And also on the other note, the $500 million that Ripple was supposed to be raising, it's completed. They've already raised it. And that puts the valuation of Ripple at around $40 billion. To add on top of that, Canary Capital, which everyone's been hearing for the past few days, Canary Capital this, Canary Capital that, regarding XRP and Ripple. Well, we have another update from Canary Capital. So Canary is hosting its first ever physical XRP ETF on the NASDAQ. Canary Capital Group LLC's newly formed, essentially Form 8A, which we talked about essentially in the past, for the physical XRP ETF, has now secured a NASDAQ trading approval. Poised to debut under the oversight of CEO essentially Steven, the event hurdles increased institutional access to XRP, sparking optimism for its market essentially growth. Similar to prior altcoin ETFs that saw significant liquidity influxes, the Carry XRP ETF launches as the first ever physical XRP ETF for the NASDAQ, trading essentially after their Form 8A submission to the US SEC. This move essentially significantly increases institutional access to XRP and essentially marks a pivotal event in crypto ETFs. The issuer of Canary Capital Group LLC, with Steven essentially as the key figure, anticipates that the launch of the XRP ETF will significantly also outperform previous altcoin ETFs like Solana, for example. They're saying essentially that XRP ETFs will pretty much be outperforming any other previous ETFs or the ETFs that are going to be coming along. XRP, as even Bitwise's CEO said, is going to be the catalyst of essentially this entire run. Steven, the CEO of Canary Capital Group, said XRP ETFs will probably double in the amount of essentially influx is going to be having. Following the announcement, there was also a noticeable increase in XRP's liquidity as investors anticipated its broad accessibility. Now, the ETF structure, similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum, targets institutional investors, and the higher management fee compared to essentially Bitwise indicates Canary's strategy for pricing their pioneering product competitively in the burgeoning essentially markets. The approval paves the way for the future altcoin ETFs with potential market innovations also, and industry experts expect the approval to encourage other filings and results in collateral growth in governance and DeFi dominance. Now, also on another separate note regarding XRP and Ripple, XRP lawyer announces a campaign for US Senate seat in 2026. Who is this XRP lawyer? John Deaton, which everybody should be very familiar with inside the crypto space, the well-known crypto advocate and legal expert specializing in blockchain issues, has disclosed plans to run again for US Senate seat. This time, he aims to challenge Senator Ed Markey in Massachusetts come 2026, after an unsuccessful bid back in 2024. The attorney made his announcement at the campaign event held essentially in Worcester, Massachusetts, reaffirming his determination to represent the interests of the crypto stakeholders and the broader constituents alike. John Deaton announcing his second run for the US Senate on Worcester essentially is quite a big news. Running as a Republican essentially then at previous campaign was notable for his strong support about the crypto industry, including his contributions exceeding $360,000 in the first quarter of 2024. Although the 2026 campaign essentially does not focus explicitly on digital asset policies, Deaton's prior clashes with Elizabeth Warren over crypto regulations hint at these ongoing commitments to blockchain-friendly legislations. This could play out extremely positive, essentially, for the XRP community if John Deaton is able to get a seat in 2026. Also, to add on top of that, the US Senate bill that everybody's been seeing on X, essentially, the US Senate bill could officially classify XRP as a commodity under the CFTC's oversight. A new bipartisan discussion draft from the US Senate Committee on Agriculture proposes a clear regulatory framework for digital assets. If you have seen it, or if you haven't seen it, here's a little bit of a step-by-step scenario. The legislation could formally place XRP and essentially other major cryptocurrencies under the oversight of the Commodities and Futures Commission, CFTC, as a commodity, a move that could have significant consequences for the Ripple and the broader crypto market space. The proposed bill, developed by Chairman John, essentially and the Senate Cory Broker, grants the CFTC new authority to regulate digital commodity, which is perfect timing if we get Mike as the CFTC chairman. This establishes a separate regulatory lane from the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, which would maintain jurisdiction over securities. For XRP, this classification would codify a legal distinction that was essentially at the heart of Ripple's long-running dispute with the SEC. The community was very quick to connect legislative dots, and essentially commentators came out on questioning essentially these footsteps for the CFTC. I personally think that what the CFTC is going to do with the crypto space is going to be playing out much more better essentially than what the SEC achieved. And yes, the SEC now is very pro-crypto, extremely pro-crypto. They dropped cases one by one for the crypto space. They were able to process some, essentially, ETF staking capabilities, but they weren't able to process the rest of the ETFs due to a government shutdown. They could have processed them a lot more faster paced, to be fairly honest. But the CFTC might be better at doing this. Now, the CFTC is obviously understaffed compared to the SEC, which is why, the announcement about 4 months ago came essentially when the CFTC and SEC said they're going to be joining hands together to essentially accomplish and achieve innovation inside the crypto space. But I personally think that is exceptionally great news regarding essentially, one, the CFTC getting the lead role finally of essentially establishing rules and regulations for the crypto space. Two, Mike being the chairman of the CFTC could actually play out in our favor. He's extremely pro-crypto. He's a part of the crypto task force in the SEC, so he's an understanding and is very positive towards cryptocurrencies. Three, John Deaton essentially playing out very positive. It could play out very positively for us if he does essentially become, gets a seat on the House. Four, regarding essentially XRP cannery for the NASDAQ approval, extremely positive news. Five, regarding Evernote's CEO coming out and saying that, he $1 billion raise that they did for XRP was just the beginning. They're going to be raising a lot more money for XRP essentially. Not just inside the United States, on a global basis is what they're essentially trying to do, and build infrastructure on the XRP ledger. That is exceptionally brilliant news. And six, we have come to the endings of tonight's live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is the CMF Live. It stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles, and this was episode 403 of the CMF Live. Now, obviously, before we do go, let's go inside the comment section first. This is happening there, just in case. I agree. Ripple is replacing many financial companies in front of them, and the companies can't do anything about it. That has to have a numbing effect on them. I agree 100%. Hey, Miles, just curious. What's your second most favorite crypto next to crypto? My second most favorite crypto, basing it on essentially what they bring towards the table, I would have to say it has to be XLM. Number one for me is XRP. Number two is XLM. Number three is XDC. Number four is HBAR. But XDC and HBAR can go 3 and 4, so it doesn't really matter. AVAX, a great project. Link. Solana has its ups and downs, to be fairly honest. Ethereum, they've just started to fix that whole situation with their fees. There's a lot of great crypto projects out there, but second in line, it's XLM. And in my opinion, also XLM has a lot of catching up to do to XRP. XLM has always been known as XRP's little brother. The little brother needs to start growing because XLM needs to do a lot of catching up essentially to XRP's height. Just winning that day now. Night Miles is CMF. Pablo, see you tomorrow same time as usual. So this was the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, it stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. You can tune this live Monday to Friday, 10 p.m. London time onwards. For the most recent news regarding cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, share if you already haven't. If you have, thank you so much. The disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. Tune in tomorrow for episode 404 of the CMF Live. By the way, honestly, thank you so much to everybody from the CMF who always straight away likes and retweets the live if you're watching this on X. And thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who always straight away likes the live as well. And thank you so much for everybody that puts a comment also outside the live as well. If you followed and subscribed to me during this live, welcome to the CMF. Pablo, I'll see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Good night. Oh, Stormy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Thanks, Miles. Have a great night and see you tomorrow, same timing. Autistic, see you tomorrow, same timing as well. Thank you, Miles and CMF. Mike, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. We appreciate all you do, Miles. Have a lovely night all. Let's go, Lena. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Good evening, everyone. Thompson, good to see you. How are you doing? Thompson, see you tomorrow, same timing as usual. Good night, Miles, and God bless. Kali, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Great show, Miles. Thanks for your support. Bull XLP, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Great life, Miles, as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Jason, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thank you so much again for another fantastic evening. Let's go, Addy, no problem. Anytime. Like, comment, and follow, retweet. Outstanding. Take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Addy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night. Good night, Miles and CMF. Another great live, Miles. Thanks and see you tomorrow. Free forever. See you tomorrow, sometimes as well. It is over. Hi, is it Shiba Lunacy? Let's go. Thanks, Miles. Much appreciated. See everyone tomorrow, CMF. Let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Jasmine, thoughts? Yes, it's over. Oh, hi, is it over? Yes, it's over. And the live show is over. John 316. The live show starts 10 p.m. UK time. And it runs for about an hour and 10 minutes max. So always remember, tune in 10 p.m. UK time onwards. That's when the live show starts. Monday to Friday, 10 p.m. Jasmine, thoughts? Not the strongest project. ZBNC, thoughts? Not the strongest project. Ray, see you tomorrow, but sometimes usual. US government shutdown is coming to a close. It pretty much has. Thank you, Miles. Have a great night. See you tomorrow. Carlos, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. BitTorrent had potential. It's gone now, is what I would say. But it could come back in a digital world, in a proper digital world. It's chance of it coming back. Now, I will see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. Love you all. See you all tomorrow, same time as usual. 10 p.m., long time onwards.